Stocks are climbing. Did you hear me? I said stocks are climbing. Plus, Luminar is going public. Delivery only ghost kitchens, they're becoming the thing. Have you heard of these things? Delivery only ghost kitchens. We'll get into that. Plus, nobody's going to conventions anymore. And cities are wondering, what should we do with all those big event spaces? So we'll talk about that article. And Yelp shares 2021 predictions. That's all coming up today on Try Flourishing. Omri, Los Angeles. Let's go. Woo! The Dow is currently sitting up 147 points, the S&P 500 up 5 points, NASDAQ up 39 points, and the Russell up 18 points. And you may be wondering, what is the ROI on today's show on your own mental well-being? It's 15.2%. That is the ROI on today's show. You could apply that to whatever area of your life you choose to apply it to. It's good to be here with you. This is Try Flourishing. It is a business news roundup for entrepreneurs, for investors, for career-focused professionals, but it's also an opportunity to come together as a community of mindfulness, right? Because at Try Flourishing, we have a mission here. We do actually have an agenda, and that is to help encourage and support individuals in their practice of mindfulness and meditation. So I invite you to take a deep breath in, inhale, and relax. And so we all may be business owners, we all may be entrepreneurs, we all may be investors, and we all may be focused on our careers. But we also, yes, we also spend some time cultivating some peaceful vibes within and finding some balance within our lives. So let's just take a moment to focus on our interior life of thoughts and emotions, feelings and perceptions, get our inner life right so that we can get our outer life right? Because yesterday we may have gone through some things, right? And today, as we start our day, we need to cleanse ourselves, find a way to start again. You live to start another day. And today, you can change the whole narrative. Today, you can enter into a new dimension of thoughts, a new dimension of habits, a new dimension of abilities. And so don't just allow yourself to say, subscribe to yesterday's news, right? That is an old feed. That is an old feed. It is time to allow yourself to think in a new way. So continuing on in our news today, just as all the markets have corrected and the VIX is down 20 points and Tencent is up, JD is up, PayPal is up, Twitter is up. They're all green in the market today. And the reality is, you can be seeing some green too. All right. Speaking of green, this is a flex. Luminar is going public and it is making a 25-year-old Austin Russell one of the world's first and youngest self-driving billionaires. So we all know the big news that was made about Elon Musk and Tesla, just kind of ascending up the rich list. Well, there's somebody new on the list and he is younger and he is head of Luminar. So the Luminar CEO and co-founder Austin Russell is poised to become a billionaire at 25 when his autonomous driving company Luminar goes public on Thursday. And Luminar makes this LiDAR sensing technology and works with major automakers as well as Intel's Mobileye. And here's the thing, Elon Musk has already commented, and I guess some people are making a big deal about it and saying that Luminar, well, he's saying their LiDAR technology isn't really needed for self-driving car. Like, hey, don't look over here. Hey, no need to see here. But automakers and business owners are already forming relationships with Luminar, and they're seeing what can emerge. And so here's the thing. Russell founded the company when he was 17 years old, a high school student, and said the feeling of becoming a billionaire, on paper at least, is absolutely and totally surreal. So that's going to be an exciting day for him and for those of you who may be thinking about cashing in on that Luminar IPO. We'll see how that price action goes, but sentiment is definitely bullish and everyone loves a good narrative, right? And we already see Goldman issue a 30% increase, right? Price target for Tesla, right? Just the other day. And I mean, I remember, what was it, 2 months ago, people were saying Tesla is frothy. The water is frothy. It is overbought, right? All of these narratives were being established about what Tesla is. And now Goldman Sachs is saying, hey, you know what? We see a 30% upside here. We see a greater potential for growth here. And now the reality is there could be some price action going on here, meaning that there may be a derivative play that I've seen talked about. You know, Goldman may have some derivative at a lower price. And listen, the reality is that Goldman, they play with fire, but rarely get burnt. Okay. All right, moving on. Before we move on, let's take a deep breath in. Inhale. Finding our center, finding our balance right here in the middle of it all. And moving on. Ghost kitchens. So ghost kitchens are really becoming a thing. So delivery only ghost kitchens are reshaping the restaurant industry. Now you see it when you go on DoorDash and you go on Uber Eats and you go on some of the other delivery services. I can't think of them right now, but you go on there and you look at all the restaurants that are listed. Some of those restaurants, they may be one restaurant that's not really open to the public, right? It's a private kitchen and they make all types of meals under different restaurant names. And so this phenomena is known as ghost kitchens. And it says ghost kitchens are popping up all over the US as food delivery soars, dining at restaurants plummets amid the pandemics. These businesses, which can host food preparation for multiple restaurants at a single location, are attracting interest from investors and restaurants. Hooers. Now, I think ghost kitchens will become a dominant form of dining, right? Because you will be able to add these economies of scale, right? You'll be able to maximize your kitchen for delivery output, where you don't necessarily have to interface with customers, you don't have to have cash, you don't have to have so many different things, because it's all done online, it's all done through the apps, and you are just trying to maximize efficiency, and you can do it across a number of product areas, right? And so that just provides great economies of scale for ghost kitchens, and that industry is just ripe, right, for growth. Because if you're able to increase the number of meals you're able to serve per hour, you can increase the revenue for it. Really, this industry is ripe for a Walmart type effect, where there is a massive ghost kitchen in LA and in New York, right? I could just see massive, like industrial scale kitchens in neighborhoods all across LA, and so that they're able to really get to their customers in a short period of time, right? And they're able to offer a variety of meal options. And I can even see things like dining plans coming into being for some of these. So where you pay a monthly fee and you have your choice of what type of meal you want for the week, right? You can have it pre-planned, so that way you don't even have to think about it, right? And yeah, I just think that is really cool. So the UK currently has about 500. There's about 1,500 ghost kitchens in the United States. There's a little over 3,000 in India, and China is leading the way with over 7,500 ghost kitchens. This is a phenomenon that is continuing to grow. This is a phenomenon that's going to continue to accelerate. And so if you've ever thought, you know what, I want to start a restaurant, right? Perhaps thinking about in a pandemic mindset, how things are changing, well, the new way would probably be ghost kitchen, right? Ghost kitchen. How You can offer multiple restaurants, not directly to customers, right? You're going through the app. You're not having anybody come to there. Nobody's dining in. Nobody's picking up. You don't have to worry about any of those customer service issues like that. You're simply maximizing this preparing of multiple foods. You could have Italian and Indian and Vietnamese and French food all under one roof, right? You could have the fries being made next to the pate, right? And no one would know the difference. And so this is really a phenomenon that's going to continue to grow and increase. And let's take a moment to take a deep breath in and out for innovation, right? That's for innovation that's taking place. And we are moving on. And before we move on, I just want to take a moment to say that we are offering our tea meditations. And so if you are looking for self-discovery, if you're looking for questions about purpose, what should I be doing in life, career direction, guidance like that, a tea meditation is a wonderful way to do that, to begin to engage in that. And so I want to invite you to visit tryflourishing.org to schedule a tea meditations. And it's a wonderful way to just begin to explore that idea of self-discovery. What do I want out of life? How do I prioritize my well-being? Get some clarity, get some understanding. It's not to say that this is where the conversation ends, but it is a way to spark the conversation of self-discovery in your life. And sometimes that conversation is very much needed. So visit tryflourishing.org for ways to schedule the tea meditation. All right, moving on in our practice. So nobody's going to conventions anymore, like nobody. The convention business is been put on ice. Now, I have confidence that conventions will resume, right, in the future, but they will be changed forever in a way, right? This idea of virtual participation, this is only going to increase as some organizations say, you know what, we're accustomed to Zooms, we're accustomed to online events now. Perhaps we don't have to have as high or as large of a convention budget as we used to, a travel and entertainment budget as we used to. And so a lot of organizations are going to be asking, what does the convention business look like now? And so this article from the New York Times says, nobody's going to conventions. Convention centers are going away. Right, and they talk about Indianapolis, who was finally expanding their convention center to attract larger conventions, and now they're wondering, when will the pandemic subside, and will we be able to get a return on our investment? Right, for decades, it says large cities and small have turned to gleaming convention centers and cavernous expo halls to revitalize downtown neighborhoods and perk up local economies. The pitch sounded like a win-win. Conventioneers, often traveling on a company dime, will fill hotels, pack restaurants, and spend in stores. Well, normally there are more than 250,000 conventions and trade shows in the U.S. each year, right? That's huge. That's massive. 250,000 people. I mean, 250,000 conventions. That's 250,000 conventions, right? That's millions of people that are impacted or going through all types of conventions. And there are the large ones from CES, the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, to smaller ones like Janitorial Supply and antique toys and stuff like that. Well, in 2016, those events, they drew 84 million people who spent $110 billion. That's $110 billion that's just been zapped, right? Just been ripped from the economy. And that's according to the Events Industry Council. And so the economic impact of the pandemic on the events business is, it cannot be overstated. It has been detrimental. Absolutely detrimental. To keep its its slate of shows going, and cities are now wondering, what will they do, right? How will they finance these new convention hall? How will they pay the debt service on them? And so there's just so much that's going into thinking about that. In Seattle, one plan to finance an expansion failed to meet legal requirements because hotel tax revenues have dried up. Right? And Milwaukee, the pandemic threatened to throw the downtown Wisconsin Center into insolvency. And so what it seems like is that there were all these cities that were planning on expansions, right? And they were using complex models that used projected tax increase and route tax and hotel tax occupancy taxes, all to create a model on how to fund the expansion of a convention center. And now the pandemic has thrown that all off, and the question is, does the industry not grow? Does it survive? Like, how will it thrive? And so, one, we can infer that, yeah, there'll probably be more virtual events, but eventually, listen, if I know people and corporate people, they're going to want to travel, right? Eventually. Once the pandemic's aside, once the vaccine kicks in, once they feel safe, and people will want to get back in the flow of things. Things will change, but people are still people, right? At the end of the day, people are still people, and they will want to get back in and see the world, right? That's just how it goes. All right. So that's that. And moving on into predictions. But before we go there, let's take a deep breath in, inhale, and release. Inhale and release. Okay. So here, Yelp is offering some predictions for 2021. And so here are the predictions that Yelp has for 2021. It says there's a Zoom face phenomena that's being used for the increased desire for plastic surgeries and cosmetic procedures due to the COVID. So people are on this screen and they're looking at themselves and they're creating all sorts of judgments surrounding COVID face. That, oh, right? They are Zoom face, right? They're looking at themselves and they're saying, oh, I need a little work done here. I need a little nipped. I need a little tuck, and so that I look better. And then they see themselves on the large screen and they're just feeling all sad about themselves, right? And just feeling lower self-esteem because of it. And so there's this phenomena that is known as Zoom face, right? That's incredible. And so the wellness sphere on Yelp predicts that sporty activities will rise, right? Things like interest in tennis is up 14%, biking is up 90%, golfing is up 37%, roller skating and skateboarding has increased as well. So all of these activities where you can go outdoors and be socially distant are increasing in terms of wellness, and Yelp is noticing that. And so, you know, sometimes you want to recognize the trend, right? If you're an investor, if you're an entrepreneur, you're thinking of areas to go into, think about this, that during the pandemic, these areas may be increasing. Now, after the pandemic, will things subside? Well, we'll see, but those are two areas to think about. Cosmetics, cosmetic procedures due to Zoom face, right? I could see the beauty industry really starting to focus on makeup and cosmetics that are tailored specifically for, you know, the presentation, the Zoom presentation, right? I can see grooming tips for Zoom presentations, right? I can really see that happening, that being a thing. So that's just something to consider. A couple of other things that they said on there. Let's see. Also, continued growth in outdoor activities. They said national and public park visits, they're up. And daily trips to wineries have become the new tourist thing because they are outside and you can be distant. Okay. Oh, he puts in restaurants, they predict the adoption of in-restaurant grocery offerings as well as meal kit offerings, right? That kind of ties into that idea of the ghost kitchen, right? That you can kind of prep it yourself or make it yourself, all these options. The reality is that we're kind of developing a whole new way of how we'll eat and how we'll dine. And I actually see that college model of a meal plan, right? That you just pay monthly. There's something local within your community that has a whole bunch of different options of all different type of variety of foods that you can just kind of choose from, and you can have that delivered and you have it seamless, right? Where you're not thinking about the cost because it's all already paid up front. And almost like reinventing the smorgasbord, right? You all remember Hometown Buffet and all those kind of places. Just think of that at an industrial scale, at a Walmart scale. These can be ghost kitchens. Plus, they have even more variety of foods, right? So that's that. Okay, taking a moment to breathe in, inhale, and release. So we're getting ready to move into our period of self-care. We're going to do a meditation and a brief Dharma study. This is an encouragement message. This is where some of you tune out. This is where some of you begin to go do something else, zone out. But we do have an agenda here, and that is to share mindfulness and share meditation and to share the Dharma, right? And so that's what we're going to be doing. We talked about popping bottles. We talked about naming yachts. We talked about ways of making money. We talked about ROIs, and we talked about the stock market going up, and we talked about your liquidity events and billionaires. And now it's time to focus on your interior life of thoughts and emotions, of feelings and perceptions, of tending to what must be tended to, right? This is what we must do. This is what we must do. And so I invite you to slow down, bearing witness to your interior life of thoughts and emotions, of feelings and perceptions. Hold this space. Maintain this container. Meet whatever arises. And tend to it all with equal measures of wisdom and compassion. This moment is a chance for you to reconnect with your heart, reconnect with your purpose, the vision you hold for your life. This is an opportunity to slow down and to reflect. Maintain the continuity of this practice as I share the Dharma. This comes from chapter 17, verse number 221, and it's on anger. It says, "One should give up anger, renounce pride, and overcome all fetters. Suffering never befalls one who clings not to mind, body, and is detached. One who checks rising anger as a charioteer checks a rolling chariot. Him I call a true charioteer. Others only hold the reins." And so this idea of self-mastery, this idea of having a sense of self-control and restraint in our lives is vital, of not being so quick to anger, of not being so harsh and judgmental with our words. So many of us, we get caught up in a situation and immediately our response is anger. We are here to protect our image and protect what we've got. And so we turn to anger. And the Dharma reminds us, mindfulness reminds us, that perhaps that is not the most skillful path forward. And as the Dharma says, one should give up anger, right? Today is the day you can set aside your anger. Today is the day you can lay down the pride. Today is the day you can set aside the ego. Today is the day that you can move away, step back from, and contain those qualities that lead to suffering within your life. And it says that this idea of suffering doesn't befall one who clings not to his mind, body, right, to our thoughts and our emotions, right, that we don't get carried away by them. It's so easy for us to get caught up in any given situation when the hormones are flowing in our lives from a stress response. It's easy to get caught up in that emotion. It's easy to not remember, right? And so that is what happens, right? That is what we do. And so I really want to remind you, right? Be mindful of when you notice that anger is arising. Be mindful of when you notice yourself being filled with pride. Be mindful of when you notice yourself being caught up in wave after wave of emotion. If you want to be truly a charioteer, as it says, one who is in control, one who is in a place of growth, you must check a rolling chariot. You must check your emotions. You must check your thoughts. You must check your anger. You must check your pride. That's what we do. That's what we do in our meditation practice. That's what we do when we embody these qualities of mindfulness and awareness. We're checking our chariot. Is it rolling over? Are we moving off course? Are we moving away from our heart? Are we closing our minds? Are we being careless and reckless and negligent in our ways? That's the real question. And so if you want to find yourself in a place of balance and harmony in life, if you want to see sustainable success and abundance within your life, if you want to walk in this mindful way of life, then you have to be a true charioteer and check the anger and check the pride and check when you're not being disciplined and check the rage, whether it's in the boardroom or your bedroom, whether it's within your community or within your home. You must find that place and sense of balance. And so let's meditate as we prepare to close out for today. Taking a deep breath in, inhale, and release. May you be met with purpose. May your vision stay clear. May you be resilient in the face of adversity. May you meet your destiny within this moment. Taking a deep breath in and release. Namaste. Well practiced, everyone. It was a pleasure to be able to meditate with you, to hold this space with you. Listen, if something that I said resonated with you, I want to invite you to visit tryflourishing.org and schedule a team meditation. Begin this process of self-discovery. Remember this, although we pop bottles and name yachts all day here at Try Flourishing, the reality is that we also need to cultivate peaceful vibes, because making money is not enough, right? That is not enough to hang your hat on. That is not enough to make a life of, right? There's something more. You're called to something more. And it's time to begin to explore that. So I invite you to visit tryflourishing.org, schedule a team meditation, and become a member today. All right, everybody. Can you believe it? We've already made it to the end of our practice today. Let's check in on the Dow one more time, the stock market one more time, see how all these gains are going, see if we are still up. And the verdict is still up 180 points. The Dow is still up. S&P 500 still up 9 points. NASDAQ 58 points. Russell 19 points. All right, everybody. Let's take a moment to say our affirmation. I have value and I have worth because I am of noble birth. And with this breath, I will awaken to all that's possible within my life. I will lead and I will achieve. I will lead and I will achieve. Nicely done, Sangha. If you said that simple affirmation, you are well on your way towards your ennoblement, right? Of honoring your value, of affirming your worth. Those skills are needed if you are going to endeavor to start the business, to write the business plan, to build the empire. You're going to need those skills. You hear me? And also, now is an opportunity to practice generosity. If you have been inspired, if you have been felt encouraged, if you feel like you are supported by this teaching, by this message, by what we're doing, you want to be a part of it, go ahead, look at the bottom of the screen. You can support via Cash App and PayPal at Try Flourishing, or visit tryflourishing.org and see other ways of being generous and supporting our work. Thank you all for contributing according to your capacity. And remember this, right? Because sometimes we think that this is just, right, this is like a beg session. Really, it's not pressed. We're going to continue to grow, whether you contribute or not, but it's for you, right? The reality is it is for you in your growth, because the Dharma says something very interesting about generosity, right? It says something very interesting, and that is, it says, merit grows for one who gives. With greed, hate, and delusion exhausted, one attains, right? Merit grows for one who gives. And with greed, hate, and delusion exhausted, one attains. If you want to attain a level of success within your life, a level of abundance within your life, a level of growth within your life, you have to remember this process of generosity. You have to remember to give, to support, right? Because this is how you create the flow. This is how you step into the cycle. This is how you bring yourself into circulation. A river that does not flow will die. A lake that does not move will fade, right? The salinity will build up. And so the silt, you don't want the silt building up in your life, right? You want to stay flow, you want to stay free, you want to stay whole. And that's the encouragement for you today. All right, everybody. Put one finger up if you hold a space for love within your life, within your heart. Put two fingers up for peace. Put three fingers up for this mindful community. That means you, that means me, that means we, all of us. Now bring it all in to awaken your heart, and may your mind be free. Many deep bows of gratitude to you all. May you lead and achieve in your life. Namaste.